That's where Storytellers comes in. It gives us a medium in which people can come and tell their stories of perseverance, of struggle, of heartbreak, of growth, and allow us to grow from those. Kicking off our stories today is Master Sergeant Dave Armstrong, who will explain how he triumphed over troubled upbringing.
My name is Master Sergeant David Armstrong. I went from group home to foster home to juvenile hall. Most of it was assault and battery, most of it was fighting. The gang lifestyle took me from the real reality, the fact that I had no family, no real place to eat or sleep, that I was constantly being locked up. And when you have nothing to live for, what does waking up matter? Okay, so I kind of had a bad lifestyle, bad childhood, bad upbringing. So I want to talk a little bit about perseverance, a little about overcoming some obstacles, a little bit about just life and how there are things that you just have no agency over, you can't control them, and how you can persevere over those things that you have no agency over. So I like to start out with a little bit of some pictures, because I like pictures, especially if they're of me. I have no pictures of myself when I was this age at all. Zero. If we did a poll, let's just take a poll. Does anyone have a baby picture of themselves? Raise your hand if you have a baby picture of yourself, just one. So most of us do. I think everyone does. But that was my reality. Those are pictures of me. So my reality was I was sentenced to a boys' camp when I was 12 years old. I won't go into detail about why, but you don't get sentenced to 2 years in a boys' camp for petty theft. So I wasn't a really good kid. My mom died when I was at the boys' camp. So I was about 13, almost 13 when she passed away. And I'll tell you, it was the hardest thing that I've ever seen or had to do in my entire life. That was hard. That hour drive was probably the longest hour in my entire life. And I'm only 25, so that wasn't a joke. Anyway, so that was the hardest hour that I've ever had. That was the longest, hardest hour, driving, knowing that I was going to go see my mom in the hospital and she wasn't going to make it. And when I saw my mom in the hospital, she had just had an epilepsy of some sort. You know, she was convulsing in bed, eyes rolling in the back of her head, and I walked in just in the nick of time to see that. So here, a 13-year-old kid who's probably losing his mom walks into the hospital to see that. Man, that was just the worst picture that I could have ever imagined. So we'll fast forward just a little bit. Probably about a month later, she actually passes away. And I remember being in a meeting with my social worker and some other people that handled my case, and they were trying to figure out where I was going to go after the 2-year sentence in the boys' camp. And the conclusion was nowhere. They don't know where to put you. I had no family that wanted me. I had a stepfather that was abusive, so I didn't want to go back to him, and he didn't want anything to do with me. So I became a ward of the state, and that began my traveling career, because you go from one group home to juvenile hall to a foster home to a group home to juvenile hall to a foster home. I've been in over a dozen boys' homes, foster homes, and juvenile halls until I was about 18. Pessimist versus optimist. So I'm going to put the mic down for a sec. I have a demonstration. I promise it's not a magic demonstration. That was a joke. So, glass half full, glass half empty. A little bit of audience interaction. Half empty, is that pessimist or optimist? Pessimist goes, man, I can't see any positive in the glass being half empty. That means that I'm only going to have half a glass of water. The optimist is the opposite. Well, at least I'm going to have a half glass of water. There's an in-between, nihilist. Any audience participation? Anybody know what that is?
Doesn't matter.
That's the glass. I don't care. I care not about the glass being half empty, half full. It just doesn't matter. I have nothing to live for. Why do I care? What do you do? What do you say? How do you interact with a kid, with a person that just doesn't care? There's the definition of a nihilist. I highlighted a couple things. Moral principles, laws, etc. Despair and the belief that life is devoid of meaning. Life has zero meaning. Wow. That sucks. I mean, really, raise your hand if you think that life has zero meaning. I think most of us are not going to raise our hands. I could care less about my life, and believe me, I didn't care about your life. How do you look at a person? How do you affect a kid? How do you do anything with someone that just doesn't give a crap? Doesn't give a crap about himself, doesn't give a crap about you. Well, there's some things that kind of changed my life. Thank God. Thank the universe. Thank Allah. Thank whoever. Martial arts is one of those things. My first martial arts instructor, Sensei Otto Johnson, 6'10", 300 and something pounds, lightning speed, and he really loved to kick my butt. And I'll tell you a quick story about Sensei Otto and myself. He was one of the counselors at a group home that I was at, boys' home. And Sensei Otto had this little martial arts program, little karate program. He'd take the kids out to the garage and they'd do some martial arts stuff and fight a little bit. And I thought, man, okay, whatever. They're doing their thing. I didn't care. I wasn't trying to be that. You had to kind of be good. You had to do the right stuff, you know, do your chores and don't leave the house. Well, I didn't care. I used to leave the house all the time. Oh, it's curfew. Yeah, whatever. What happens when you leave the house when you're at a boys' home? They call the cops, most likely. Cops will pick you up in a couple of days. They either send you back to the group home or boys' home, or they send you to juvenile hall until they place you in another house. I didn't care. It didn't matter to me if I was at that group home, juvenile hall, boys' camp. It didn't matter. It was all the same to me. Well, one day I thought, I'm going to leave, and it was about 10, 11 o'clock at night. And I said, I'm going to go out. And Sensei Otto said, no, you're not. I said, yes, I am. And all you're going to do is call the cops. And they're going to either pick me up and bring me back here, or they're going to put me in juvenile hall for the night or two and then place me in another place. So I'm leaving. And Sensei Otto stood in front of the door, and he says, I'm not going to let you leave, Dave. And I knew, I was really smart. I was a manipulative kid. And I knew you can't touch staff. If you touch staff, they get to touch you. And I don't want 6'10", 300 and something pounds touching me. Didn't want it in any way, shape, or form. I don't know why, but I thought to move him out of the way. I said, I'm leaving. And he stood in front of the door. I said, I'm leaving. I touched him. He touched me back. So when I woke up, literally, not even joking, I was in my room and I was mad. I was like, yeah, I'm gonna get my homies. We gonna strap up. We got this. Wait till I leave here. But I wasn't about to leave. Again, I wasn't stupid. I was like, I'm ready. I'm gonna get my boys tomorrow when I can leave, when you ain't around. And we gonna get you. We gonna shoot you. We got this. You big, but you ain't gonna stop a bullet, homie. So that was in my mind. Now I slept on it a little bit. Woke up the next day. I was like, man, this dude is bad. Because he just reached out and touched me and grabbed me. When I woke up, I was in my room. How do I do that? Because there's some people that I want to do that to. Really? So it got me thinking a little bit, not in a positive way, in a negative way. All right, so if I do my chores I could go and like hang with Sensei Otto and he could teach me how to choke somebody out like that. Because again, I want to do that to a couple people. So it negatively, positively motivated me. Well, again, I had nothing to live for. I didn't care about anybody. And here was one thing that I knew, violence. I knew how to be violent. I was good at that. I was good at fighting. I grew up, I enjoyed it. It was like eating, sleeping. So I was like, man, I'm gonna learn how to choke people out and I'll do some chores and I won't leave the group home. And so I started being good. And I said, hey, Sensei Otto, I'd like to do this little martial arts thing. He said, okay, as long as you behave, you continue on this mode, you can do this martial arts thing. I said, oh, I'm gonna choke some people out. So I started doing martial arts. Well, man, it changed my life. It changed my perspective. So I began to have some confidence in something, in myself, in the world. So, this is kind of cool, because there's a lot of discipline in martial arts. And I had someone telling me what to do, and I was going to do it, because I didn't want to wake up in my room unconscious again. So he instilled discipline in me through martial arts, and it was amazing. And he became a father to me, and I won't go into detail, but I took over one of his martial arts schools, and it was great. We had a great relationship. Second thing that changed my life is my court-appointed guardian ad litem, and that's really someone that represents you in court, kind of a big brother or a big sister to you, someone that cares about you, that's going to kind of look after you. So Ron Barnick was my guardian ad litem, and he was a pilot in the Air Force. And he did this guardian ad litem thing for kids, and it was a volunteer thing. He didn't get paid for it, and he just really cared about kids. Well, he began to instill a lot of things in me, and he cared about me, genuinely cared about me. And I used to go to his house, and he had stuff from all over the world, from Greece, from Italy, from Japan, from everywhere. I said, God, dog, there's a place outside of LA. Can I walk there? I just want to take a little walk, see some of this stuff. He said, no, you got to fly there. I'm a pilot. Ooh, all right. Why are you a pilot? I'm in the Air Force. Ooh, what's that? What's that about? So he began to mentor me. He began to put a little seed in me. And I began to think, wow, there's a world out there outside of this little bubble that I'm in, that I've been in. I was about 15, 16 when he became my guardian ad litem, so 15, 16 years of LA bubble. So, there's a big world. And he had this globe. I'll share this with you. He had a globe, a big globe. I had a stand, big globe, and I used to go there and spin that bad boy and put my finger somewhere. 9 times out of 10, it was just water, because 70% of the world is water. And I said, well, I don't want to end up in the ocean, and then I'm here. So, Lodge is goodness. So I saw the world, and I said, man, I just want to do something. I want to see these places. I want to buy stuff from Italy or Japan or lodges. That was a joke. So it made me want to join the Air Force. Man, I joined the Air Force 10 years ago, and some of y'all got that. 21 years ago, over 21 years now, I joined the Air Force, and man, I joined the biggest gang in the world. The biggest gang. I wish somebody from LA, from Compton, some Crip, run up on us in this room. I know some of the SF guys have rubber bullets or don't have bullets in their guns, but that's okay. We could take them down. It's going to be all right. So I joined the Air Force. That's me right there. I know, right? I was 19. Gosh. Hey, you guys remember the Velcro patches? Now, half of y'all was like, what is that? So I joined the biggest gang in the Air Force, or in the world. I joined the Air Force. And the Air Force gave me a sense of community, a sense of belonging, some mentoring. I had some great supervisors. Showed me how to follow, because you can't lead without knowing how to follow. You can't. It's impossible. allowed me to travel around the world, work for some outstanding people. I've had the opportunity to work directly for generals, really good supervisors, tech sergeants that back in the day that were just outstanding, just great leaders. And they showed me how to follow, how to lead, how to really get some intrinsic value from my life, from the world. And I never have regretted it. Not once. Gave me opportunities to have kids, to open up 3 martial arts schools, to travel around the world and see things that normal people don't even have the ability to see. Better yet, someone that grew up like me. Someone without a family, someone that was destined to be dead before they're 18. Not in jail, dead. I would have had a bullet to my skull before I was 18, guarantee. Guarantee. I've been able to see places that people travel to once in a lifetime. And I've been able to go there and live there and see those places and experience the culture, value the culture. Even in Greece, the bottom 2, Zakynthos and Delphi, are both in Greece. And I couldn't take Zakynthos and Delphi with me, but I took my beautiful, almost bride here, who's Greek, instead. Yeah! Woo! She all embarrassed now. It's given me the opportunity to see the world that normal people can't do. Most people can't do. And I was destined to not do those things. So I'll kind of summarize a little bit. Perseverance, dedication, the ability to ask for help. I asked to be in the martial arts program. That really started that road for me. And accept that help. Boy, doing martial arts, I failed plenty of times. Literally and figuratively. Sensei Otto used to whoop me up constantly. I'd have blisters on my feet from training, bruises all over, couldn't walk the next day. I fell, and I grew. It was challenging, but I accepted the challenge. I accepted life. Life accepted me. So someone that was destined to not have life was given a little pebble, and I took that pebble and I walked with it, and I was able to make something of myself. So, in summary, find a passion. Do something with my story, with the rest of our stories. Don't just let it be a good feeling for now, and you go back to your work center, and a week later, maybe you'll remember and talk about a little piece of what you remembered from my story or any of our stories. Do something with the stories. Go out and volunteer. Let it be a motivational tool for you. Find that intrinsic value. Learn how to lead. Learn how to follow. Something. Don't let it just go on your ears, make you feel good for 20 minutes, and then walk away. Don't do me that disservice. Don't do yourself that disservice. Take something from it. Anything. If not from my story, from someone else's story. Because it's important. Make your beginning. Thank you.